Hey, what's up everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be talking about low heel recovery and how it can be one of the most important things when you are starting, and we're going to start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab. Reach your individual goals. You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video. Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become. So whether you are running the 40-yard dash, the 60, the 100-meter, 200-meter, or if you're just playing a regular field sport, it's important to be able to understand what low heel recovery is, and so we're going to be going over that today. This is going to be really more out of a block that I'm going to be focused on, but it does apply to really any type of start. So what the concept is the ability or the height of your foot as you are coming through. So essentially, the recovery is going to be as your foot's coming off the ground, your heel coming upwards, which would be more of a high heel recovery, or is your heel staying lower towards the ground, which would be considered a low heel recovery. Now, there is a difference between different types of people that sometimes the higher heel recovery out of the start ends up being something that they rely on and still end up having a good amount of speed with, but the vast majority of athletes and of sprinters and of really anybody that is really good in acceleration has what's considered low heel recovery, which is the topic of the video here. So if you can see this first step, Usain Bolt goes a lot more out here. This would be more of like a almost middle heel recovery, right? It's not necessarily low, it's not necessarily high, but notice this step here. See how low, and this is where the toe drag comes in. Typically, toe drag is really used out of a 3-point stance or a 4-point stance, which is coming out of the blocks. You don't usually need it out of a 2-point stance, but you can see how low the heel is. So one of the landmarks that I use would be the heel position as it is crossing the knee. So we can see here with Usain Bolt, his heel is about the same height as the knee, maybe a little bit lower, in comparison to this athlete who is keeping a much higher heel recovery. And the issue with this is it just impacts how your foot ends up striking the ground. So when you have a good heel recovery, what it gives you the opportunity to do is get your knee through faster, get your toe and foot through faster, so then you have a better opportunity to control foot strikes. So notice as he's striking the ground, he's able to get a really good position within his foot in comparison to his hip, and he's also landing much more on the toe. So if we look to see this athlete here, he's still landing a bit on the toe, but notice the difference in the angle. Significantly better angle with Usain Bolt, right? Almost like the steeper the angle here would be better for you to be able to continue to accelerate, right? Again, we could see coming straight through with the leg, with the heel being, now it's a little bit higher than the knee, okay, but it's about knee height in comparison to on the left, same type of thing. Heel's getting too high, and really the foot or the heel should be going about the same height or potentially raising up as it's coming through. It should not be going down. So you shouldn't have your heel up and then it coming down as it's coming through during this critical part of the sprint. Again, we can see where the foot's landing or how the foot's landing. I don't know if we're going to be able to on this one here. You can kind of see the angle that he's landing. See where he's hitting the ground, probably about right there. So same type of thing, very flat in comparison to having an angle to the landing. And that's what the low heel recovery does, right? Another step, getting that foot too high up, okay, in comparison to keeping that heel lower, right? Now the heel is starting to raise up kind of closer to mid, I would say there, but that's just what low heel recovery is the ability to essentially recover low, right? So everything is around the foot strike. Now that you made foot strike or foot contact, now the leg is in recovery mode, trying to be able to load back up to then get into another foot strike, right? So we're recovering quick with our leg and with our foot to make it so now we can get ready to strike the ground. This is really important in the first, I would say, like 5 to 7 steps. Okay, it is how are you recovering within the leg. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, but certainly within the first 3, we want to be more towards a low heel recovery. We're going to use DJ Turner because he ran the fastest 40 in the combine last year or a few months ago, and he's somebody that actually doesn't have super low heel recovery, right? I mean, this step wasn't really high, okay, but it also wasn't really low either. It was kind of that mid, same type of thing. We could see the heel in comparison to the knee, okay? Same thing here, kind of at that mid spot where he's really, he's pretty low with the heel recovery, but then he's lifting his foot as he's coming through to be able to get really excellent knee height. Okay, so it's not really high heel recovery, but I wouldn't consider that low heel recovery either. So I'm giving you an example of somebody that is doing really the opposite of what I'm saying, because this is really a one-off person. Like here, I'll go through and I'll show you just we'll go with the combine, and we'll just be able to look to see all the defensive backs running the combine at the 2022 combine. So watch how many of these guys end up having low heel recovery. I'd consider that probably mid heel recovery. Tariq Woolen, that's definitely low heel recovery. Keeping that heel low as he's coming through. Okay, ran 4.3. That's definitely low heel recovery right there. Ran 4.4. It's actually pretty low. Then you just got good leg coming through. That's definitely low heel recovery. I was a little bit high with the third step. Lower heel recovery on the fourth. Ended up going 4.4. And the reason it's low, it's called low heel recovery, because we look to see top speed, see how much higher the heel is now. That would be high heel recovery. So that's a difference, is now that foot is up by the hip as it's coming through. So that's the difference between low heel recovery, high heel recovery. And I just want to give you a little bit more context, a little bit clearer understanding of what that difference is, so then you can work it into your start and make it so it can improve your start. Really, the first 3 steps, first 5 steps, first 7 steps end up being real important when it comes to your ability to accelerate, your ability to get to top speed. There's a ton of people, and I say this all the time, that can improve tremendously within their sprinting if they were able to understand how to get a better start. You can make the biggest improvement within your 100 time, 40 time, 60 time if you can improve your first 10 yards, your first 10 meters, your first really 7 steps. Ends up being a critical part in acceleration, and that's why I put a big focus on that. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave those down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the description down below. There's a ton of great options that I think are available for you guys. You guys can do a breakdown where you could just send over a video to me. We also have a couple different add-ons for that as well that makes it a little bit more attractive for people if you're interested in doing a one-time breakdown. I really would recommend joining one of the programs, either the 4-yard dash program or the 3-month program, where you could really get a lot of in-depth coaching from me to help you in improving your speed. I do think that ends up being something that is really important for athletes as they go on this journey to be able to improve their sprinting, is really having a coach that can get specific into what are the things that are really messing them up. I worked a lot recently with more master sprinters. I'm assuming just because of the investment and the willing to invest into their performance when it comes to their sprinting, but I still think there's so many athletes out there that could really benefit a lot if they were willing to invest into their future and really make it so they can get some specific coaching, some specific workouts, some specific drills that will make it so they can improve their mechanics and really help them in being able to be the best athletes that they can be. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. You can click that thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.